thought it was box office gold. I couldn't actually take my eyes off it. Yeah, absolutely. Boris Johnson fighting for his political life there. And you could see the determination also. Clearly, he'd been very well rehearsed and very well briefed by Lord Panic. I thought it was extraordinary, actually. And, of course, he then said, and he swore on the King James Bible, which obviously is a big deal. And also, just from a human point of view, I mean, I do wonder whether Boris Johnson just didn't really understand. I take your point that did the rules really apply to him? I don't think they really considered for 1 minute what they'd done to the rest of the country.
I agree with you. I don't think they did. But I think they were completely detached from the impact of the rules that they made on other people. And I think, frankly, it was pretty exciting to be in number 10 or at the top of government at that time. They all got completely carried away with their own heroic roles in this self-appointed mission. Now, I genuinely, of course, they were trying hard to save lives, but they had such an inflated sense of their own heroism in this mission, and they lost all sight of what did it mean on a hour-by-hour, day-by-day, week-by-week, month-by-month basis for ordinary people.
And obviously I must bring Nicola and JJ. The only thing I just feel I should say, when you were saying they were all having rather a lovely time in Downing Street, Boris Johnson himself had been in hospital with COVID. I think that is worth remembering. He hadn't been having a particularly lovely time when he was in critical care in hospital.
And with Isabel, though, I think they did have this inflated sense of heroism. But so should so many other sectors that were working so hard during the pandemic. I wouldn't begrudge any nurses who wanted to have a glass of wine together in a meeting room after work. It's the fact that the number 10 thought that they were the exception to that. That everyone else is working hard, but we're working the hardest and we're set the rules and we're above all of it. I think he's a disgrace. I think it's such a shame that we have to talk about him again. I wish he would just go quietly. The fact that he thought it was essential to have a drink at a work do is just so offensive to everyone else.
He thought it was essential to say goodbye to a work colleague. When my mum was in hospital dying of COVID, it wasn't essential for me to go and say goodbye.
Honestly.
At the funeral, like the Queen, my family sat on separate benches, unable to hold each other, and we were all crying our eyes out. But Boris found it essential to say goodbye to a work colleague. And I do hope the committee, I think they will do the right thing and suspend him for at least 10 days. And his constituency, because that means then there'll be a by-election constituency. Well, he spent more time in the US doing speeches after he got kicked out of being PM for more than 10 days.
JJ, the last time he voted, before today, was the 22nd of November. So I was watching the first 15 minutes today going, oh, we're just getting into it now. And then the bell rings and he goes off to vote and I'm like, oh, well.
Of course, yeah.
And he stopped Harriet Harman to say, oh, I'm not sure if I should finish this speech because the bell's going to go off soon and we have to vote. And I'm like, yes, Boris, you should have voted many, many more times since November.
I mean, it was extraordinary watching Harriet Harman. I mean, she is a force to be reckoned with, and I thought she did a very good job, actually. I thought all of them did a good job. Bernard Jenkins, actually, also did a good job, I think, in terms of asking the appropriate questions. But I think also Boris Johnson lost his temper a couple of times. Now, I don't know whether that was orchestrated. Had they actually planned for him to feel riled, because that added credibility to his case. I don't know why you're bothering me with this, because actually... And there is a part of me that thinks, well, actually, they were at work, and so the blurring of the margins, if you're in one room and someone pops in and you're talking to them and you have a glass of wine, you know, so there is all of that to factor in. But I go back to the bigger point is people died without seeing their relatives, and that's unacceptable.